Good morning. Here we are live. This is Religion Outside the Box. I'm Rabbi Brian. I'm glad you're here. This is the Saturday service. It is a different way of looking at a religious service. And I am joined by a whole bunch of people who are on Zoom and joined by people who are watching afterwards on Facebook and watching live on Facebook, or watching afterwards on Facebook and watching live on YouTube. And I do have a Twitch channel that is up, and bonus points if you make a comment on the Twitch channel. Just bonus points. I don't know what you can do with the bonus points, but they're there if you want them. And I'm going to share my screen so you can see my friends who have joining from all over. There, friends. Hi, friends. Would you guys wave? And there's Alice who's joined, and Jess and Michael and Ray and Ashley and Gord and Ann and Carolyn and everyone whose name I didn't yet say. Good morning. I'm glad you guys are all here. Let me change back to my regular screen. Here we are. All right. So good morning. I want to do a little bit of review at the start. It's just so lovely I get so excited to see everybody here today. Yay. I want to do a little bit of review of what I thought about the structure of these services. And first, I have so many thoughts going through my head at once. I thought about the structure of these services as a whole, but that there's a circle kind of Venn diagram that overlaps this week from last week, and that I want to review some of what we talked about last week, because what we're going to talk about this week plays off of last week's, and also I want to ensure some learning. And when I taught high school math for a lot of years, and I was challenged by a principal once not to give any homework. There's a whole movement in education that homework is not really beneficial, especially in math, because there winds up being three different options. Either you already understand the stuff and you're practicing it, or you don't understand it and all it's doing is frustrating you. And there was a third one, and I can't remember what that third one was.
You're doing it even wronger.
Oh, you're doing it even wronger. Thank you, John. And the idea, the challenge was, can you teach this stuff during class so that the students learn it in class where they can get feedback? And so I'm taking that idea here. I want to make sure that we are learning and learning week to week. So we're going to do start with a little bit of review. We're going to start with these 5 things. We talked about learning last week, and I'm wondering, and if you don't remember all 5 of them, that's perfectly all right. But we talked about learning, and that learning happens in 5 stages. And I'm curious, put your hand up on the screen so I can see it. Do you remember 4 of them, 3 of them, 2 of them? You remember all of them? Do you guys remember? A lot of you seem to remember all of them. And if you don't, that's okay. And hey, that also brings us to another point, which was, if you don't remember all of them, no shame in that, which was another thing we talked a lot about last week, and we're going to talk about right after we talk about these 5 things. If you're in an environment right now where not remembering is perfectly admissible, it's perfectly fine if you don't remember all 5. And that's an important thing in learning, is to not feel shamed. And how else are you going to learn? Well, you're going to learn by making mistakes, and you're going to feel more comfortable to make mistakes if you're in an environment that allows for mistakes. Something I used to tell my students was, I make mistakes, and as long as you're gracious to me when I make mistakes, it makes it easier for me to be gracious to you when you make mistakes. Let's take a look at the 5 things. First one was, you can't do the thing at all. And the last one is, you can do the thing perfectly. And there were 3 in between. So you can't do it at all. And the next stage after that is, somebody help me out. What was the next one after that?
You can do it with instruction.
You can do it with a lot of instruction. Fantastic. So you can't do it. You can do it with a lot of instruction. And if you're learning this for the first time, you're right there at stage 2. Stage 3 is?
You need outside prompts.
You need help from the outside. So you can't do it. You can do it with a lot of instruction. You need outside help. And stage 4?
Inside help.
You can give yourself a hint. you're able
You can do it with less help.
Yeah, you can talk your way through it. And then stage 5 is you're able to do the thing perfectly fluidly. And the one bonus thing that we talked about was that when we are stressed, we fall down a stage. So when you're stressed, if you know how to do something fluidly and you're stressed, you know, when you're talking to yourself, you find yourself talking to yourself like, oh my God, I'm looking for my keys. Where are my keys? And you're talking to yourself about it. It's because you know how to look for your keys, but you're stressed. You wind up talking to yourself. You just moved yourself down to stage 4. Great. Good review. Let's talk a little bit about that shame thing. I'd love to ask you if you have the ability to open up the chat in Zoom, and if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, you can do it there as well. Open up the chat, and I'd like you to type in the following. Shame is an indication that our environment, if you just type that part in, shame is an indication that our environment
doesn't have enough.
But don't finish that sentence aloud, please. Shame is an indication that our environment, and if you can finish that sentence, type it in, and we're just trying to see, do you remember it? And if you don't, hopefully, shame is an indication that our environment, blankety blank blank. And then at the count of 3, people are already hitting enter. I meant you not to all hit enter yet. I was going to have us all hit enter at the same time. No worries. So let's all hit enter and see if we all wind up with around the same answers. That shame is an indication our environment doesn't have enough love or capacity to provide us with the love we need. That's one of the answers I see. Shame is an indication that our environment lacks love and acceptance. Shame is an indication that our environment is insufficient in love. Wonderful work, folks. I think we did good there. And Al, you had something that you had mentioned to me, and I have a note here to remind me that you had something you wanted to share about shame. If you could add that little bit of learning in for us.
Oh, I what's your note? I need a hint from the outside.
Okay, I made a note that said, make mistakes with kindness.
Yeah. One of the things that I wanted to note was that here in this environment that we've got going on here, I've noticed that sometimes we all make mistakes, and we've been able to have voices speak up. I think even Rabbi Brian, you've made some mistakes. People have raised their voices and said, hey, I didn't appreciate that. I didn't like that. And we've been able to work through it without shaming one another, without saying, hey, there's something wrong with you for having done that. Shame on you.
Right. That we can correct people with kindness as opposed to correcting people with shame. Or at least we can hope that the way we're correcting them is with kindness.
Yeah.
Thank you, Al. Thank you for adding that in. And if I can also bump our friend Joe. Joe, you had something you had wanted to share about the learning, this 5 stages of learning, which I think would help us all to learn a little extra about. Can you share that with us, Joe? You here?
Sure.
There we are.
I realized that because our household's going through a growing period here, and I realized that I need to have equal patience with the learning stages with my husband the same way I have them with myself, because there's a lot of things that are coming up for him that he's never done, even though we're both 64. Some of them are very new skills for him. So the learning stages, I need to recognize that I may be at a 4 or a 5, but he's at a 0 or a 1. So the learning stages can work both for me, but for me also with respect for where they're at the learning stages.
Thank you, Joe. That's an interesting thing, that we have to have patience with other people. I know I have a false thought that as soon as I tell anyone who lives in my house something, that they should immediately be able to incorporate the thing that I just told them. Anyone else have that thought?
Yeah.
I'll pass it along to them that you all think they should be able to do exactly what I say as soon as I say it.
Well, um, uh, remembering that I am an important part of someone else's environment.
Yeah.
Mm.
That we have to have patience with them as they climb from stage 2, where I'm helping them to load the dishwasher. It's going to take them a while till they know how to load the unloading of the dishwasher. They both drive me absolutely crazy. I get a lot of practice in my spiritual life on trying to find utensils, because they're not where I think they should be, which is where they always have been. But the goons who are unloading the dishwasher don't have the years of experience of knowing where those forks should be going. John, you have a comment to make. Go ahead.
I think it's worth noting traditional indigenous cultures, certainly in this part of North America, learning takes place by watching. They are never instructed.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, they watch, and it may take days, or in the case of skills like in hunting and trapping and things like that, it may take years. The child goes along and watches.
Yeah.
Watches and watches. And then at some point in time, the parent will just hand the equipment. And the child then does what they think is right. And they are never corrected.
It's a beautiful idea, right?
Instead, they are allowed to make their trap. Let's just stick with a trap for this analogy. They take the trap, they make it, they put it in, and if it works, great. And if it is wrong, they're never told that it's wrong. They discover that.
Right.
And then they will watch some more and see if they can pick up where it is that they went wrong. But there's never anybody, just pushing their finger over one spot or doing anything like that.
Right. And that's the shaming part. And unfortunately, a lot of education is tied up into shaming and making someone it doesn't work. It's a really poor plan. Okay, wait. I'm gonna move us along. I had one other thing that I wanted to review from last week, which I introduced the word Shempa, which has to do with heat. That there's a heat behind our actions, or there can be a lack of heat behind our actions, that we can say something. And I have a perfect example of this. I have been bested. I won't name names, but there's a girl who went to bed last night who lives in my house, who was 13 last night, who's 14 today. So happy birthday to her. She's asleep, and she should be. She's 14. She had the greatest example of how to react with a lack of heat, where a few weeks ago I said to her, Annie, you've got to clean your room, because at this point there was no floor. You couldn't see the floor. It's a tornado of a mess. Annie, you've got to clean your room. And her response was so disarming. She said, oh, Dad, don't be a silly goose. Of course I don't. There was no heat behind how she said it. She just said it so, Dad, silly goose, of course not. And there was no heat in it. And the lack of heat is such a beautiful, tell a quick story. There's two people shouting, screaming at each other as a guru and the guru's disciples trail behind her. And after they pass the two people shouting, the guru says to her disciples, why are those two people shouting so loud? They're so physically close to each other. Do you think they couldn't hear each other? Why were they shouting so loud? And the disciples, wise to the guru's ways, say, we don't know why. Why don't you just cut to the chase and tell us? All right, this is my telling the story. This is not the way the story was originally told to me, but it's fine. And the guru says to her disciples, they were making up in volume for the distance of their hearts.
Oh.
They're making up in volume for the distance of their hearts. And how true that one is. If we're very close to someone, we hardly even need to, if our hearts are very close, we don't even really need a word between us. We understand each other. But the further our hearts are from each other, the louder we feel we need to be. I'll leave that as a little perspective. We're going to switch over to something new today. I'm going to ask you to please have a pencil and paper, and we're going to do something. Let me get to the right screen on my side. Please hold. There it is. There is an apple and a pear. And we are not playing that dice game again. Don't you worry. I heard how much you loved that. I'm going to put a timer up on my screen. And I'm going to ask you for the next let's do 3 minutes. There's a timer for 3 minutes up on my screen. I want to ask you to make a drawing of these 7 objects.
It lost 10 seconds already.
Okay. I'll give you an extra 7 seconds at the end. So I'd like everyone to make a drawing of what you see. And those of you who are watching on Facebook, you can draw too. And I appreciate everyone doing. I do sometimes have this little fantasy of myself as Mr. Rogers. And this is coming true right now. We got about 2 more minutes, and I'll ask you if you think you're done. You're not. Can always add in some more detail.
Do I have to include the dent in the apple?
Everyone except for Bob, you do not need to include the dent on the apple.
I did.
And if you are just joining for the first time and it seems like, hey, Rabbi seems to know everybody just by their voice, that's because they've shown up before and they've said things. And if you're new and you'd like to say something, I'd love to have you as part of the conversation as well. I think we established last week that the number of people who I have physically been in the same room as was less than 10%. So I don't know everyone here, except that they want to be known. Ooh. We got about 45 more seconds. And I'm going to say that very teacher-y thing of pencils down. It's lovely to see all of you concentrating. I'm curious how many of you are drawing it with me in the upper right corner. And we're coming up on, that's about it for time, folks. Jordan, you have an extra 10 seconds.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, let's stop there. Breathing? Everyone still breathing? Good. We did have somebody fall asleep last week, and it caused a little bit of panic in the room that that person stopped breathing, but apparently they're still here, so we're fine. Hey, hi, folks. Let me zoom in on myself here. How do I switch screens? Switch this one. There we go. Nope. I'm just going to do that. Okay. Show of hands. Who's proud of their drawing? Got like 5 people. 6. Good. I want to do this. We talked last week. Uh-oh. Hold on. Alex? Something weird's happening again.
Technology.
Do we have the echo again? We're back. We're fine. Okay, we're good. We talked about shame meaning, and that's what a lot of you typed in. We talked about shame meaning that you're in an environment that might not have enough love in it. And I want to show you a picture that my neighbor Luca made. I gave him a loaf of challah bread last night. That's pictured here. And that's me. Anyone here gonna tell me this is a Luca is he's under 5 years old, right? You probably had that sense. Anyone think this is a good drawing? Y'all got to be kidding me. This sucks.
Hey.
No, seriously,
I love it.
like if I didn't tell you that was challah bread, would you have had a clue?
No.
No.
Bread.
Does that
Looks
look
like
like, I mean, honestly, look at these hands. Look at these hands.
I can't.
This
Looks just
chicken
like
feet, man. I don't even have legs.
Even
Looks like Picasso.
You have a belly button.
What are we saying
have a
here?
belly button.
Do I have a belly
You have
button?
a
I have a
belly
belly button. I promise you, this child has never seen my belly button. That is speculation. That is not. I did not pose for that picture in that way.
It looks just like you.
So let me take a step back. We all know this is a perfect drawing, right?
Mhm.
I have my drawing here. I want you to look at your own drawing. I want you to look at Luca's drawing.
I saw the picture. Yeah.
Y'all see where this is going, don't you? Look at your drawing. Look at Luca's drawing. We're going to go into small groups. We're going to go into groups of 5 people. And we're going to take about 8 minutes. And I want you to do the following. I want you to show the people who are in your group. Of course, you don't have to, right? You don't have to. But I'm going to really encourage you to show the people in your group your drawing. And I want the people, so we're going to go take turns. Everyone's going to take turns. Here's my drawing. And I want to ask you to quash that voice that says, here's my shitty drawing. Here's my ridiculous drawing. Here's my terrible drawing. I want you to not say that. Because I'm pretty sure your drawing's better than Luca's drawing anyway. I mean, if nothing else. I want you to show your drawing to the group, and then I want the group to go around and say, one thing I like about your drawing is, and I'm going to double dare dog challenge you to take in the love. Shame is felt when we're in an environment that doesn't have enough love. And my question is, I'm the foremost meteorologist on my own internal weather. I'm the one who can determine if it's going to be a sunny day or a cloudy day. At least to some degree, I have that freedom. I have that ability to do. And I'm going to ask you to push yourself towards self-love. And I'm going to ask you to do that, and it might bring up some hard feelings. And that doesn't make a lot of sense on paper until you really think about it. It might bring up some really hard feelings to feel supported and loved by people for something that you're not necessarily completely proud. That might bring up some feelings. And that's okay. We got to feel through those feelings. And maybe shake them off a little bit. But take in the love. My friends, you're being offered here a chance for love, to be loved. And I'm going to ask you to not succumb to any voice except for the one that says, let's take that shit in. Okay. We've got about 8 minutes, 5 people. Alex, have we prepared the
rooms are open.
The rooms are open, so you're going to be invited. If you're on a phone, you will get automatically put into one of those rooms. Of course, you cannot show your picture if you're on just phone only, if you're on audio only, but we will make something work and figure it out. There we go to the small groups. And that's going to leave me here. And if you're still here, let me know if you wanted to go to one of the small groups. And if you did, we can make that happen. Mary, you're Mary's gone. Alice, Bob, Steve, you guys are happy being here? Did you want to be moved on? Give me some kind of nod. You're all right being here. Yeah, okay. I asked 2 different questions. One required a no, one required a yes, and that doesn't help anything. Lexi, you're cool being here? Do you... Okay. Steve, you're fine being here. Rob, you're pretty much usually fine anywhere you are. And Henry, Jim, and Michael. Oh, there's Jim. Hi, Jim. Glad to see you. Glad you're here. I'll go first. Here's my drawing. And I'll take comments about my drawing.
I really liked it.
What part of it do you like?
Oh, it's hard to say.
It's hard to say.
Nice work adding the shadows.
There's shading.
I like the shading, the shadows.
Thank you very kindly. I
like that you put. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Jim.
I like that you tried to put yourself in the corner there.
Yeah, that was on my screen. I didn't realize that until I mentioned it to everybody. Mm-hmm. Thank you for saying. Mm-hmm. All right.
I like it because it's a pretty accurate representation of what was going on the screen, given that you only had 3 minutes to do it,
and given that I only had my limited skill set.
You know what? I think that your skill set is better than what you might think it is.
I love that. Thank you, Alex. Anyone else here have a picture that they want to show?
I didn't do it because I was busy.
You're teching. You get.
I'm busy checking.
Lexi, do you have a picture? You don't have to show it. No, that's cool. Jim?
I'm here. I'm here because I didn't do it either.
Okay. Well, glad you're here, Michael.
Well, I sort of did it, but I have a cat on my lap, so it's hard to do. Let's see.
Oh, there it is.
Okay.
Oh, that's grand. I like how simple it is.
Yeah.
Any other
Like you
comments?
say, limited skill sets.
Yeah. And what's it say? What's the line it says right above that? You had written something.
Oh, that's from another service that we had. It's okay not to be okay.
It's okay not to be okay. I think that fits with our drawings as well.
It's a good caption, yeah.
Yeah.
It's okay not to be okay. Stephen, did you make a drawing?
I don't do art. Something I'm incredibly uncomfortable with.
It's something you're terribly, I didn't hear the word.
Uncomfortable with.
Uncomfortable with.
I don't do art projects.
Just all right. I will totally respect you for that. That's you do you. Rob?
You're muted, Rob.
I broke up boxes.
You broke up boxes.
Yes.
It does not look quite representational of a pear, an apple, and 5 dice.
No, it looks representational of a broken up box.
It is the thing.
It is.
It is the
That's
thing.
what I was doing.
Well played. And I have someone also. Oh, there you go. You've been
4 of these.
More ripped up boxes. Also,
no, it was 2 boxes of this beverage.
Oh, I know that beverage by color.
Yes. And by design.
By design, there it is. Thank you, Rob. And I have Henry also, who's here, who's muted, who I don't see. Henry, do you have anything to add to our lovely discussion here? I'm gonna take that as a pass.
Henry passed.
Henry passed.
Rest in peace, Henry.
Oh, I don't think he meant like that there, Mike.
No. Well, I think that on these kind of projects, I think that people are often very much more self-critical than what other people.
Yeah. Would we all think that's the truth? That
we appreciate what everyone did.
But that we
whatever
are harsher.
Whatever they did, we appreciate.
And why then would we be more self-critical than the world outside of us is giving us?
I appreciate the lesson.
Uh-huh.
I just have never been good at art.
Uh-huh.
And it's not a skill I choose to want to develop.
That's fair.
And therefore I tend to pass on art projects almost in any setting I'm in. But I do appreciate the lesson that's there, and I'm just not ready to.
That's fine. That's fine.
To tolerate myself with
that. Well, Stephen, where do you think that comes from? That we're harsher on ourselves than other people are on us. Where do you think we pick that up from? Why would we perpetuate this idea that I need to be harder on myself than other people are on me? And other people are going to be coming back in a minute or so.
Because instead of a lesson, it should be a moron.
I don't understand, Rob. Sorry.
Less and more.
A lesson, a moron.
Lesson.
Thank you,
and
Betsy.
Moron.
Thank you for translating Rob for me.
I think there's a lot of places in our life where we were kind of taught, like the straight A student, we're all supposed to be good at everything. And I acknowledge there are things I'm not good at.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. I have one. Yeah, I have a theory. I'll wait. I'll wait for everyone. I do have one advantage over all of you on your drawings.
Well, that's just mean.
I brought
Are you
snacks.
gonna eat the pair of them?
Good one, Rob.
Oi! Oi! Don't eat my drawings! What
Right.
the heck?
So I had the unfair advantage of being able to eat the apple, the pear here. So thank you guys for participating in that, for going along doing that. Give me some feedback without just without sharing what somebody else did, and keeping it anonymous so that we protect each other. What'd you come out with in your group? What'd you learn? What more than, and the moral of the story that we should all take with us that you got in your group? Did you get a moral? Is there a?
Each one is different and in its own right, and each one has beauty.
I love that, Ray. Right? If we all were able to draw it, think about this. If we were all able to draw the thing that was on the screen exactly the way that it showed on the screen, every one of our drawings would look exactly the same.
That would be boring.
And the only thing, and this is somewhat ironic and weird, is that it's the very thing that makes our drawing not look like the thing. It's the very thing that makes it ours, which tends to be the thing that we're ashamed of. It's the very thing that makes it ours that we hold against it. And we think, if I only did it better and made it look like the thing. Go ahead, Chad, Lisa.
Beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
True. And what'd you...
Except.
Except what, Anne?
The other people in the group all found it nicer than what we felt ourselves.
Is that... How many of you had that experience where other people in the room were blowing smoke up your wazoos of...
No.
Nobody had... Did you all actually believe that everyone thought your drawing was better?
Yeah.
Yes.
That makes it worse for you, but
I thought it was.
let's go along with that. Everyone thought it was better than you thought it was.
Yeah. I don't know.
All right.
I don't know.
Let's play with that. If other people thought your drawing was better than you, what's the moral, spiritual, religious lesson? What's the thing we can learn out of that?
Be kinder to ourselves.
Be kinder to ourselves.
Yeah, don't be hard on ourselves.
That maybe the world's not judging us as harshly as we're judging ourselves.
We can look to other people to handhold us to make ourselves believe.
Yeah, I agree.
Give me some more words on that, Rags.
Oh, just that was my feeling, that other people can appreciate in me what I don't appreciate in myself and can help me.
Right.
Because, yeah.
Our group
But
was...
that depends on having the right people around you.
Ah.
Yeah.
Not all the judgy people.
Our group felt like we were in a safe place, and our drawings were remarkably alike, with one exception. One person drew a lot more detail, including the whole screen. Other than that, our apple and pear and dice looked really a lot alike.
And when you saw someone else's that looked a lot like yours, did you see their drawing as better than your drawing of similar skill?
No, I saw them as equal.
As equal, okay. Did other people? How was the experience for other people? What'd you learn? What came out of it for you?
Go ahead, Candace. Well, I've drawn sort of I've been able to draw reasonably well my whole life. My mom was an art teacher and she was untrained to teach art. She did a great job. So I knew I'd done in the time we had. I thought I'd done a reasonable job, and when each of the other participants, found something a compliment or complimented the drawing, I was able to accept it and thank them both for their work because
Isn't
they
that
were
lovely?
good.
It's lovely.
Yeah, because I can accept that. It's
Did
okay.
did people have a hard time taking in a compliment? Did we have people have a hard time taking in a compliment, or everyone it was all right taking in a compliment here? Go ahead, Ron, and then Betsy.
I got a compliment for the shading on mine, which I didn't even think was worthy of, I just did it.
Mm-hmm.
And my seeing the imperfections and wishing that I'd placed one of the dice more close to its original position and everything is sort of and they didn't see that. And I appreciate that.
Thank you, Ron.
I got compliments on things that I didn't think twice about, and that's
nice.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Betsy, and then Al, and then we're going to move along a little bit.
I was thinking that when we talk about the things that make our drawings different from somebody else's, those differences are what make it art.
Exactly. Thank you, Betsy. Go ahead, Al.
Yeah, I just noticed that we were all very accepting of each other's art, and we almost immediately moved into learning. We were exchanging well, how did you do that? And how did you do this? And we were exchanging tips on, doing it digitally versus doing it with a pencil. And it was just a lot of fun.
Yeah. Good. Well, well done, everybody. Well done. I'm going to keep this up in my office. And I'm going to keep mine up in... I lost what I did with my own drawing. Oh my God. Is that unconscious or what? There it is. I'm going to keep these up in my office as a reminder that Luca has the skills that Luca has. If we had somebody in our group talk about that they don't do art and they don't practice doing it, so they don't get better at doing it, and that's perfectly fine. That we're fine how we are. It's a radical religious idea, isn't it? Not that we shouldn't always be striving to be good and better always, but that we're fine. Go ahead, Anne.
You're muted.
I put this in the chat before, and my drawing was an attempt to do it right. Luca's drawing was a love poem to you for the gift of challah.
Yes.
And maybe your drawing of yourself of the apple, pear, and 5 dice is also a love drawing?
What was in my consciousness was an attempt to get it right.
Yeah.
I don't think, I'm guessing, that what was in Luca's consciousness was a thank you for the challah.
And I'm going to take the fact that you, a grown-ass woman with real degrees and intelligence, doing a drawing that is outside of her skill set to share with other people in a group to help herself learn is a love offering towards me and what I'm trying to do, whether it was in your consciousness or not.
You're right. You're right.
I'm going to ask, could you all hold your pictures up on this? So I'm going to do a quick screenshot. I promise I'll take and put it in front of your face if you don't want your face shown. Or if you want your face shown your face. Okay, we're going to take that picture on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, those of you who are hiding, you can come back. Thank you very much. Take a moment. We're going to turn our thoughts to those who are in need of extra prayers and healing and health. And Maria, I think you have a list of those people today. Would you share?
I do. These are the names of people to lift up and send positive energy to: Greg, Alex M., Carrie, Rita S., Daniel and Laurel, Greta, Judy Human in spirit, the Cook family, Barry, Beverly Kennedy, and if there is another person in our community we can offer light and love to, please put their name in the chat and I will add them to the list in the clubhouse. And for the people who aren't named, but who are in our thoughts, we send them light and love as well.
Let's take a minute of silence, just starting here at 45 seconds. Well, thank you. I have a few announcements that I'd like to make, and then there's something I want to start teaching today, and then we'll get to finishing it next week to encourage you to come back, or just how it goes today. Announcements go like this. This one, as always. And it also applies to our artwork. It's okay not to be okay. Hey, you know that drawing that you don't do so perfectly? That's okay. You know that feeling that you're having where you're not feeling perfectly good? That's okay too. Other announcements, Religion Outside the Box is donor supported. You are the donor. And you have the ability to be the donor to help support this work. Please, if you don't already make contributions, to please do. That's how this keeps going. Other announcement, I'm not always going to be the guy running the service. Sometimes there are subs. I just want to prepare you that there are some weeks you're going to show up and it's not this face that's the person running the service. It's someone else. I'm going to tell you the same thing that I would tell my students when I was teaching high school. The way that you treat the sub reflects to me on how much I know you love me. You are to treat the subs with the utmost respect and dignity. And you can have a little temper tantrum that I'm not here. That's fine. But do not take it out on whoever is filling in my stead. Okay. Other announcements. Hey, there's this whole thing that I have not... this word here, I'm just going to spell it out. Not going to even mention it. I don't talk about this word. If you've been coming to this service for a while, you might, you know that little thing like it's been this many days since there's been an accident? It might have been this many weeks since we've used this word in this service, and that's okay. I have nothing wrong with this word. I just do find that there is a lot of baggage associated with it, and we can have a full understanding and appreciation and beautiful spiritual religious life without using this word or referring to it. And that's part of what we're doing here at Religion Outside the Box. If you want to talk in further about this word, there's a group that we have called the Shekinah group. And the Shekinah group meets. Is there anyone, if somebody is on, who would put if you want to be added to the Shekinah group, they send out their a separate email and have, I believe there's a meeting tomorrow, if I'm not incorrect. If you want in on that, please put a note in the chat. Is there somebody from the Shekinah group who can pick up that? Somebody flail your arms on the screen so I know that you're willing to take that up. Well, that's a very quiet room. All right. Is there anyone here who's in the Shekinah group? Do I have anyone here who overlaps as Shekinah group? Anne, would you mind if somebody, can they get in touch with you and you can add them in? Do you mind doing that? Thank you for semi-volunteering. I appreciate that. Also on Tuesday, at the same exact link where you joined in today, if you're joining in on Zoom, you can join in for office hours, which is where it's just fewer of us. It's more casual, and often I workshop something that I'm going to try on Saturday, and I have a whole idea. I have this exercise that I'm ready to do on Tuesday. We're going to find out for the first time on Tuesday how well that goes. And if you've been in the Tuesday group, it's like going to a comedy club and not knowing who's performing. It might be a whole night of people who sometimes it's not so good, and sometimes it's like, oh my God, some amazing comedians here tonight. It's Tuesday, it's live, so you're welcome to join for that. That's it for announcements.
What time is the Tuesday group? Is it at the same time as this?
Oh, thank you for asking. The Tuesday group is at 11 a.m. Pacific time, and we do everything in Pacific time because I can't keep track of time zones. Another announcement. Hey, look. It's that time of year, folks. We're going to be making matzah. If you would like to make matzah with me and with friends, there's a link. You will be getting it in the Monday newsletter, but there's the link, lu.ma/matzah2023. We're going to be making the tender, sweet, and spicy matzah using a recipe from 1503. It's going to be at 2 times on Sunday, the 2nd of April, which is right coming up before Passover. So I love to see you there. That's always a lot of fun. Other announcement. Yeah. I'm going to teach you something, and we're going to pick this up next week. Let me get back to my main screen. Okay. Before I launch into that, anything pressing that I should be looking at? Or y'all all right? Ready to dip our feet in? Here's what I want us to dip our feet into. I changed one of the letters. You might have remembered this starting with a different letter. It's now starting with an S, and you can all deal with the change. This is about love. We said that shame exists when we're in a situation where there's not enough love, and I want to define what love is. This is a definition that comes from Dr. Logan Fox. It's a behavioralist understanding of love. And Dr. Logan Fox says love is made out of 4 different qualities, and they spell out sour. Sour. Can everyone please unmute themselves and say after me, sour.
Sour.
Sour. Sour.
Dinosaur.
Oh, okay, that's fantastic. That's a good way to remember it. It's like dinosaur.
It means
Dinosaur.
lizard.
That's going, and it goes like this: that the first quality to loving somebody or something or ourselves is that you have to see that thing, that person or ourselves. That not recognizing, not taking in ignoring is the opposite of love. I'm sure, unfortunately, most of us can remember at some point being on the wrong end of a secret being held from us or being on the wrong end of a silent treatment. That's not being seen. It is the least loving thing you can do. It's shutting someone out. It is not nice. Seeing them saying, "Hey, Ron, it seems you're always wearing tie-dye." That's the beginning of love, because it's seeing him. Ron knows he's always wearing tie-dye, but me saying it is helping him know that he's being seen for who he is. "Hey, Steve, you have purple hair. That's something. Maria, you also have purple hair, and so does Meg," which I have to say, I have a higher contingency of people with purple hair than I thought I ever would as a rabbi. But preaching to non-Jews, that never shocked me. The number of purple hair, that's a little weird. So we start with C. The second is accept. Love begins with seeing, and it continues to accepting. You have to accept that the person is who they are. It is an unloving thing to say, "I love you, now change." The first two letters of dinosaur are S and A, and they stand for, what's the S stand for?
See.
And the A?
Accept.
The first two parts of love are seeing and accepting, and the next one is understanding. Understanding involves empathy. Understanding is saying, if I were you, I probably would do the exact same thing that you're doing. It's letting the person know that you can imagine, and you can empathize, you can feel, you can resonate with how they are in the world. You have an understanding of who they are. And the last is respond. The last part of love is that love doesn't count if you're only doing it in your head. If I make a note to myself that Ron's wearing tie-dye and I go, "Oh, I'm going to just accept that no matter where he is, he's going to be wearing tie-dye. I'm going to understand that that's who he is," but I never do anything about it. It doesn't go the distance. For it to be love, you have to go all four stages, and we're going to stop there as soon as we all are all right with the exit ticket. The exit ticket is you're going to tell me the four different things that are love. Love stands for S-A-U-R, and the first S is?
D.
Then?
Accept.
And then?
Understand.
And then finally?
Respond.
That's it. That's how love goes out. I'm going to ask you to practice being loving to yourself and to other people for the entire week, and we will pick this up again next week. I'm going to do the thing where I share screen so everybody can wave and say goodbye. Hold on. There we are. Everyone, wave goodbye to our friends who are on Facebook.
Bye.
Our friends who are watching later. Thank you for joining.
Bye.